Hello, I'm Mike.
And I'm Carrie Ann.
If you love drinking coffee,
being a couple,
and putting Christ first,
this is the podcast for you.
Love over coffee. Welcome to episode number 8 of Love Over Coffee, the soda edition.
Hello, we are so excited to have you back.
So this week we're going to do something a little bit different. Love Over Coffee is not just about coffee. It's about spending time with your spouse.
Getting to know your spouse.
Becoming your spouse's best friend.
Working on your marriage.
Advocating for your marriage.
And showing the world that your marriage is important to you.
And it's about glorifying God through your marriage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if you're not a coffee drinker, what we'll do, I think, in the future is mark the time in the show notes of when you could skip over the coffee stuff, but maybe just listen to it and you learn something new. Because I know when we all first started drinking coffee, we probably didn't like it because we didn't know how to make it. It was horrible, black sludge, or it was too thin and watery. So maybe you can learn something new, but if not, you can skip past it. But today, instead of coffee, we're drinking Fitz's cream soda. Now, Fitz's is a local company to St. Louis. What they advertise is that they use all natural ingredients, spices, cane sugar, things along those lines. I think originally they stopped producing Fitz's soda in the late 1940s, and then just recently in '93 they started making again in University City, Missouri. But yeah, it's a pretty good cream soda. I think we like their root beer better.
Yeah.
Their root beer is award-winning root beer, so it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But this week, we're going to talk about step-parenting.
Yeah, so this is a topic that is very, very close to our hearts, because what you may not know about us is that we are a blended family. And I actually was not a parent until I married Mike. So what I noticed when we were engaged was that it was very difficult for me to find good gospel-centered resources on step parenting. And I wanted to find those. Just like any parent, you want to do the best job that you possibly can. So when we decided to talk about blended families and step parenting, I just knew that it was perfect for us. So as you know, we do have 2 kiddos. Really the one who I focus on the most is she's our 8-year-old, only because our oldest, he's actually out of the house. So I always feel like I play a really cool role in our daughter's life as her stepmom. And I see myself, and any step parent should see themselves, as playing 3 different roles. And that's one as a mentor, being the one that they can just turn to, get advice from. The second role I play is as a friend. And then the third and most important role I play is family. So even though that I'm stepmom, which sometimes has a terrible stereotype to it, which is very sad, I'm family, and we're family, and it doesn't change how I came into her life. So as we were preparing this podcast, I was thinking of different things that go with blended families, and we came up with the 6 B's of blended families. And those are back up, build connections, banish the selfishness, beef up your thick skin, be positive, and bask in Jesus. So the first one is back up, and this is very important. So I always need to remember that Mike and our little girl's moms, they are the main decision makers in her life. And it's very important that I respect that and I allow that relationship to always continue.
Sure, and that doesn't mean that you can't take the step-parents' thoughts or opinion about it into consideration, because they are the one living in the household with you.
Yeah.
But the final decision does need to go to the biological parents. Mm-hmm. And also, too, the disciplining as well. You just kind of have to figure out where the boundaries are at. Like Carrie Ann said, the step-parent already has a bad rep, and you don't really want them to do the disciplining or taking the lead on disciplining because it takes them a long time to build a relationship with a stepchild. And if you have somebody coming in saying, well, you need to cut the grass and you need to do dishes and you need to do this, then it makes it a little bit more difficult for them to build that relationship, as opposed to biological parents. They really don't have a choice.
Yeah.
They kind of love you anyway. Maybe not at the moment, but eventually they will again.
It's kind of like you honor your father and your mother.
Right.
Yeah, and you know what, babe? And I think those boundaries came from just lots of discussions. And I think that those discussions are always ongoing. Even still, I'll ask you, hey, was this okay? Or even like sometimes when I want to give my opinion, I'll ask Mike, hey, do you want to know my opinion? And I'm always very respectful about it, but always being respectful to her mom as well. And I think something that you do as well is you do a really good job, babe, of helping to back me up when we have like those little things that you're like, okay, I'm okay with you taking this on. So I think of a few weeks ago when we had Emily cleaning her room. And if you have an 8-year-old girl, you know that the room can just be a scattered hot mess. So I went in there and I said, okay, it's time to go clean our room. Got the trash bag, got everything ready. And then she says, well, hang on, I'm going to go ask my dad something. Now, I knew exactly what was happening, but I was like, okay, I'm just going to let it go. So she goes out to Mike, and I couldn't tell you what she asked, but Mike stopped her, didn't even answer her question, and said, aren't you supposed to be helping Carrie Ann clean your room? Yes. Well, then go back there and do it. And that was huge, because I think in that moment, babe, you showed that we were both on the same team.
Yeah, and in that situation, it was just a typical child trying to get out of cleaning their room. But I'm the one that told her that she needs to clean her room, that you were going to help her with it. And, I think that's one of the things is you kind of volunteer to help her with it. Like you said, build that relationship. It's important to know that you weren't the one that told her to clean her room in the first place. As time goes on, the little chores and things like that, I think step-parents can get the step-children to do those things. It's just not at first.
Yeah.
But basically, when it comes to the consequences of not cleaning your room, and then the consequences of doing something wrong in school, that should totally fall back on the biological parents.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I feel like in those little moments, that's where I just completely back up and let you and mom take control of that. And you know what? That's how it should be.
Yeah.
So just helping Emily clean her room and spending time with her, that builds into the second B, which is build connections. So this is something that you need to be very intentional about. And yes, this goes for biological and step parents too, is if you want to grow a relationship with that child, you need to find little moments to spend with them, little things that's just special between you and them. So just for a few examples to get your brain racking, these are a few things that I have done with Emily to build connections. The first thing is that Emily loves to shop. So I have gone shopping with her. And of course, if we go to Target, we have to stop by the dollar section. But after we shop, we go to Froyo.
Yeah, you started bad. You had to have it with that one. We can't even drive past the place anymore without stopping.
This is true. She's like, we should go to Froyo. Yep, now she's got you suckered into that too.
Yeah.
It is a bad habit, but it was a fun way to connect. Another thing that I did, which was really cool, is you had a men's retreat one weekend. So I got the girls together and did a girls' day. But what I did too is I got Mike's mom together and my mom together, along with Mike's cousin. And we went to the llama farm, we went to a carnival, and we just had fun. And the big thing with that connection is I invited both sides of our family because I want Emily to know that it doesn't matter if the word step is in front of the name. We're all family. So that was really cool. And I think, that made you feel good, as you were away. That we were doing something, fun together as you were doing your own thing. And then just the last thing, and this one is not nearly as fun, guys, I promise, but it's needed, is just helping with homework. Because there's times that Mike's cooking dinner and she needs help, and I'll just go there and I'll have her read to me or do her math homework. And yeah, it's just easy little ways to build connections. And the third B of blended families is banish the selfishness. And that is a huge one. And really what that means is making sure that the biological parent and the child has moments where you're not there and it's just the two of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's important to make sure you spend time with your children in general, but it's even more important once a step-parent situation. They'll have different feelings, different emotions about the entire situation. So one of the things that I do is once she lets me, it's usually a fight sometimes because she would rather be on her tablet than read, but is to read a book to her at night.
Yeah, and this actually was a huge turning point for me where I learned to banish the selfishness. And it kind of goes back to how I grew up. And again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. But I couldn't understand why it was 9 o'clock at night and why, and again, this is very selfish of me, but why Mike had to read her a story and had to get her to bed. And I had the mentality of, well, just tell her to go to bed and she should go to bed. And, I would sit there and I'd be like, well, why? And then I went to a women's retreat and I spoke to one of the girls and she's a step parent. And I said, I couldn't understand. And she said, Carrie Ann, she said, stop. She said, that is their time together. That is important, and you do not want her growing up and saying that you took that time from her. And that was a huge mind shift that I had to realize that time is so important to them.
Not only spending time, I think that's important to most children, is you're getting them wound down for the day. Yeah. Instead of looking at TV or looking at electronics and shutting off, going to bed, you're kind of laying in bed, close to a loved one, kind of reading a book or however you do it. It just makes them a little bit more tired and gets their mind relaxed after playing on the tablet or watching TV or doing video games or whatever. But the other thing we do is usually, not even when you're gone when you're gone, but if you're doing something with church or doing something with friends, we'll go have like a daddy-daughter day. We'll go to the zoo or the butterfly house, have lunch, stop at Froyo, and just spend some time together. And the other thing too is to include her with the both of us together. So, when we're sitting watching TV on the couch, I'll scoot over and let her sit in the middle so she's in between the both of us and close to me, or I'll sit in the middle. Or when we're walking someplace, I'll be in the middle too, so I can hold your hand and her hand.
Yeah, and those right there are just such little things, but it means so much to her, because I think all kids need to know that even though that this new person is in your life, like, you're still important, you're still a priority, and you are still loved. So step parents, just banish that selfishness. The fourth B of blended families is to beef up your thick skin. This is very important. Now, this one may shock you because it shocked me when I learned it in premarital counseling. They say it usually takes about 3 years to get a sense of normalcy in your new blended family.
Yeah, it does take a while, but I don't know. I think I had it harder than you did.
Yeah.
She took right to Carrie Ann for the most part, and she gave me a heck of a time just in general, picking up from her mom's house or, just being a little snotty here and there. Did nothing really bad. Yeah. You could just tell that she was not happy with the situation. We went from a situation where it was just me and her. She never really saw me date anyone until Carrie Ann. And, our entire weekends were centered around us, going to the zoo or going to the butterfly house or building Legos, watching a movie, going out to dinner. It was just the two of us, and then you have a third person come in and take some of that time away. It makes it a little bit more difficult. And with her, there was really no bad issues. It was just a change of attitude, I guess, more than anything else.
Yeah, and I would say, there's definitely a huge improvement now. And parents, when that happens, just understand they're just trying to figure out their new normal. They're trying to figure out where they fit in. And that's why all these other steps are important, that quality time with them. And that's really all it is. They're not being a stinker just to be a stinker. And when we talk about beefing up your thick skin, this was another huge one for me, is don't take it personal.
Yeah, you should never take anything personal that a kid does. They're still learning social behaviors, how to interact with people. They're very honest, and they just say what's on their mind. So really, any child, you should never take anything personal.
Yeah, and you do a great job of reminding me of that, babe. Like, I know just last weekend, you were gone getting something done, and I got her breakfast, and then we went off and did our thing, and then you walked in the door, and then she said, Daddy, I'm hungry. And I looked at Mike, and I said, I was here. I could have just gotten her the apple. And he goes, oh, honey, she's just 8. She's just, she's probably just automatic, just instantly hungry. And also, again, they're still getting to know you, so don't take anything personal, because if you do, you're going to want to cry almost every single day. So truly just don't. And then the fifth B of blended families is to be positive. Just push out that negativity that is so easy to get into.
Yeah, and the positive part, there's a bunch of ways to be positive, but I think that an important one is about the child's relationship with the biological parents. So in other words, in this case, Emily's mom. Emily will do things with her mom, and she'll come over and she'll be excited to tell us about them. I think it's important to encourage that, be interested in what she's saying. If they're talking about, we went to the circus or we went to the zoo, it's like, oh, that sounds like fun. I bet you had a good time. Just be positive about it. Support what she's doing with the other parent for a couple reasons, but the main one is that it's their parent. So being negative or being derogatory towards their parents is going to do nothing but drive a wedge in between you and the child.
Yeah. And it's just not fair. It's not fair to sit here and talk negatively about the other parent, even if you have issues with that parent. Don't let the child know that. Our goal is that when Emily is 40 years old, that if somebody ever asked her, did your dad ever speak low of your mom, that she can truly say, no, I never heard it. And really, if you sit here and talk negatively about another parent, you're almost asking the child to choose between two parents. And to be quite honest, that's quite immature and not necessary. And it just shouldn't happen. Right.
And everyone usually has issues with exes, some sort of issues. If you didn't, you wouldn't be divorced in the first place. But it's important to discuss those privately.
Yes.
Don't talk about that stuff in front of the child. Don't put it on Facebook. And try to be constructive with it. It doesn't do any good to be mad and bash an ex all the time. Now, I understand there are some that not keeping up their end of the deal or their end of the bargain of what they're supposed to be doing as a parent, but it's not going to do you any good being outwardly negative about that.
Yeah, another thing that I would do to be positive, and this is from my personal experience, is to truly just push out social media. Like I said, when we were engaged, I was looking for good resources, and the step parenting resources that I found, they were full of how to deal with his terrible ex. Tell him not to talk to his ex in front of you. And you never signed up for this life. And it was just negative, and it was draining. And I couldn't take it because I wanted to find joy in the blessing of being a step parent. I didn't want to find the sorrow.
Yeah.
It's just so frustrating. And I think it really goes back to Philippians chapter 4, verses 8 through 9, that says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. So right there, it's just focusing on the positive. And be proud of the baby steps, because as we spoke about, it takes normally 3 years, so don't expect change overnight. Like, I know, babe, one of the sweetest moments for me was the first time that Emily told me that she loves me as she was going to bed, and she said it to me first, and that was a huge baby step. And not gonna lie, probably walked into our room and shed a tear or two. And the sixth and final step of blended families is to bask in Jesus.
Yeah, that's really important to have your family involved in learning the Bible, going to church, doing some volunteer work, just doing Jesus' work.
Absolutely. And just remembering that he's the ultimate healer. He's your ultimate advocate and relationship builder. And just pour out your heart to him. He's going to help you in all of those things. Just as we read, again, this is another verse in Philippians. In Philippians chapter 4, verses 5 through 7, it says, let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about everything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your mind in Christ Jesus. And you know what I think is really neat about that verse, babe?
What's that?
Is that it starts with, let your gentleness be evident to all. And I think that's huge around this whole parenting thing, step parenting thing, is just being gentle.
Sure. Yeah, and like I said already, it's important to make sure the child's in that environment, in an environment where Jesus is the goal, that we want to bring people to Jesus, we want to live like Jesus. And we've been really lucky with our church because they have, I don't know if the official title's Kids Church, but that's what we call it, Kids Church Elementary, and she absolutely loves the pastor there and loves going on Sunday and loves going on Wednesday night when we do that. So just putting her in that environment around kids trying to achieve the same goals, and just learning about the Bible is a huge thing. And then also the things outside that she can see, that donate brownies for a food pantry, or you save up some of your money and give it to the church, or we talked about reading that book before bedtime. You know, a lot of times that's a story from the Bible. Not all the time, but it's just important to make sure Jesus is in your kid's life regularly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So to sum up, folks, those 6 B's is to back up, build connections, banish the selfishness, beef up your thick skin, be positive, and bask in Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings us to the end of episode number 8 of Love Over Coffee, the soda edition, take 2.
Yes.
Actually, we recorded this last week, and it was a really awesome podcast, the best one ever. It probably would have even won awards, but you'll never know. But we had a technical difficulty, and it wasn't backed up properly, and it split the entire podcast into 6-second segments, and in a random order. So it was basically a big 1,000-piece audio jigsaw puzzle that I couldn't fix.
Yeah.
So as soon as we're done, we're going to back this up. But anyway, that brings us to the end of episode number 8 of Love Over Coffee, the soda edition, take 2. Next week, actually not next week, the next 2 episodes, we're going to tell you about our stories.
Yes, and just how we just came to know Jesus and the role that he's played in our lives. And as always, we'd love to hear from you. So make sure to follow us, and if you have any little parenting tips or step parenting, little things that you do, let us know, because we can always learn from each other.
Sure, absolutely. And you can talk to us on Facebook, but also at this podcast, our new website will be ready.
Yes, we are so excited about our new website. Oh, and it looks awesome. This is all Mike who put it together.
Yeah, so you can go to our website and play our podcast directly from the website. You won't need a media player anymore. You can do it from your phone or your computer. There'll be a little bit of there'll be a few blog topics on there. There's information about us, and there's a way to get in touch with us. So anyway, Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for stepchildren. We want to thank you for the opportunity to bring other adults into these children's lives who will love them and mentor them and be their family as well as their friend. And we just ask that you soften the hearts of us, our listeners, our ex-spouses, so that we can just do what's best for our children. Amen.
Amen.